Alrighty, good morning, everybody. This is Coffee with Campus Consultancy, episode 6. This morning, I'm joined by the amazing Nandini. Nandini, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Hi, Nandini. And also the incredible Neha.
Hi all. So excited.
I'm so glad, first and foremost. I don't know if I was ever, as a student, at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, jumping up, getting dressed up, being on a live stream. So I just appreciate you both for getting on and doing this. We're also this morning, we should be live on Facebook Live. We should also be live on LinkedIn. That'll let us read your comments. So if you are seeing this right now, today we're going to be talking about how do you get a job as an international student. So the wonderful Nandini, the wonderful Neha are joining us this morning, both international students in the process of securing jobs, having jobs, looking for jobs. We'll be talking about all of that today. If you've got a thought, comment, or insight around how an international student, if you've been in that situation, how you might get a job, how you might look for a job, we'd love to hear from you. So if you're listening in, drop a comment down below. We'd love to know what you're doing this morning. We'd love to know what's in your mug on a Monday morning as well. And we'd really like to know if you have any practical tips of how you or someone you know has managed to secure full-time, part-time internship work. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get started, Nandini, if you'd like to go first, you want to tell the world a little bit about who is Nandini, what are you all about, and where are you sort of at in your career journey?
So I am a student studying Masters of Human Resource Management at RMIT University, and currently I'm not working anywhere, but yes, I'm looking for work, and I hold the post of HRA in Human Resource Association for Event Director at RMIT, and pretty much I'm doing everything that everybody's doing, that online studying and assignments and everything, but to keep myself productive, I'm also doing extra courses online. Like recently I did strategic consulting program that is being hosted by BCG, and I'm looking forward to do other programs initiated by Harvard University. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's pretty much
So
about it.
currently looking for work in the HR area.
Yeah, I am looking for the work in HR.
Awesome. So today we're talking about how to get a job as an international student. We're going to pass it over to Neha in a second to introduce herself. We've also got down the bottom myself, Neha, and Nandini. Our contact details are there. So if you'd like to link up, say hello, and especially in Nandini's situation, if you are in HR, if you are looking for an amazing, young, eager, enthusiastic, driven intern, work placement, student to come on and work with your team, Nandini is here. She's available. She's interested. It's all well and good to talk about how do you get a job as an international student. What if today as a community we could help Nandini actually get a job as an international student? I think that'd be something cool to hang our hat on. So if you're in HR, if you know someone in HR, if it's reaching out to Nandini privately, commenting or tagging someone in the comments below saying, hey, here's someone that's worth checking out, maybe giving a chance, that'd be a pretty amazing thing to do on a Monday morning and start the week. So in a moment, thank you, Nandini. We're going to pass it over to Neha. Just want to say hello to a couple of people tuning in. Jerry, jumping in on LinkedIn Live. Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Jonathan, great to see you there, my friend. Jonathan saying, connect with LinkedIn if you're looking for a job as a young professional. So Nandini, there you go. Jonathan Bowden jumping in on the LinkedIn comments there. So Nandini, after today, we'll have to link you up. There you go. Point of contact already.
Yeah.
Now, Neha, tell the world you're one of my favorite people. I absolutely love your story. I love your drive. I love absolutely everything that you do. Tell the world a little bit about who is Neha and what you're doing right now.
Yes, so I'm studying MBA International, majoring in business consulting at Deakin University. Last year, I thought, how do I add more value to my degree? So I got this opportunity to work, to actually study at a university in Germany. So I did a 2 week quick fast track course in international business management at WIHAU School of Management in Frankfurt. And then I'm also part of two international honor societies. I'm the president of Beta Alpha Psi Xi Kappa. Xi Kappa is a Deakin University chapter, and I'm also a member of the Golden Key International Honor Society. Apart from this, I volunteered at various organizations because I truly believe in giving back to the community. So I volunteered at Cancer Council Victoria, and also did a bit of community work at a university, worked as marketing manager for Deakin Graduate Business Society and few other societies. In terms of work, so I'm currently working as a business analyst at Deloitte Australia. I
Cool.
started off as an intern, and then that became my part-time job. Then I also worked as a report writer for my faculty, based on one of the meetings or one of the events rather that I attended, which was Australia India Business Forum. Um, so that's more or less about
Cool.
me. Yeah.
Cool. And Neha, from the situation of starting off as an international student, what do you think's that first initial challenge? Obviously, it's a time right now. Lots of people have lost casual part-time jobs, internships, sort of what Nandini was sharing. But COVID or not COVID, in general, for international students starting off in a different country, English might not be a first language. They might not have contacts. What did you have to overcome to start with, and how did you go about that?
So I'm very thankful to Deacon Talent on campus, because they host various workshops. So when I first came here, I started like anybody else, which is like a blank slate. So thankfully, I met Deacon Talent at our orientation week, and they said we have the resume workshop and we have few other workshops. So I thought, okay. So the second week of uni, I attended the resume workshop. Then I realized that it's very different from how it's back home. So some things that I was putting as extracurricular activities, including my startup, was my extracurricular activity, was
Yeah.
actually the core professional experience here. So, including your volunteering experience is a big thing. So, it's not your extracurricular, it's not going to be brushed off. So, that was one of the things that I did. And the second workshop was also very helpful, which is understanding the Australian workspace. What do your employers expect from you, irrespective of which industry or organization you're going to enter?
Yeah. And what did you learn from that? So if you're an international student tuning in right now, and a couple of hellos on LinkedIn, Anurajan, lovely to see you this morning, also seeking full-time work. So if you're looking for an amazing accounting intern or placement or work placement student, you've got some casual work. Naranjan's jumping in there on the LinkedIn comments. If you're an international student, you're tuning in, you're going, okay, help me get a job. What's one thing I need to know about the Aussie workforce? Neha, in that workshop, what did you learn? How did your perspective change?
So back home, I'm just going to do the comparison. So back home, it's more about what's your score? That's about it. So that's like the main focus. So that's why I sort of lost my self confidence, because I know I'm not all about the marks. I can do my job well, and you can't define my capabilities based on my marks. Then when I came here and I attended that workshop, they said, no, your volunteering experience, and your startup and your other experiences are going to hold value to it. And just having your grades is not going to help. You have got to show that you have a competitive edge over other students, because at the end of the day, it is a competitive environment. So what are you going to do to show that you're there? And you have to build your resume in terms of, oh, okay, your volunteering experience, your part-time, and the other small things that you're doing, attending events and stuff like that, workshops. Yeah.
Amazing. So would you say that a good starting point, and we'll flip it over to Nandini to hear about your sort of journey where you might go next. Would you say a good starting point obviously is volunteering, getting involved in on campus and communities, stuff that you're both doing? You're both student leaders in student organizations with Beta Alpha Psi for Neha and others, Nandini with the HR Society at RMIT. So getting involved on campus, telling employers about that, and even just acknowledging that it's not all about the marks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, really interesting. And so if you're out there, if you're tuning in right now, if you're an international student looking for a job, if you're in that early stage right now, and you're trying to think, how am I going to get a job in the future? If you're not involved in clubs and societies, I really recommend checking those out. So going to Google knows all sometimes, and typing in your university, Deakin University, clubs and societies, RMIT University, clubs and societies, University of Queensland, clubs and societies, whatever it is, and see if you can find one out there. All of them have an email address, almost all, and a Facebook page. Jump on, send them an email, send them a Facebook message, and say, hey, my name is sentence 2. What's your next event? Can I attend? Sentence 3. I've got some spare time. Is there anything I can do to help out? And make that offer to get involved. And it's a great starting point. It's a great launching pad for certain skills that employers want. And Neha, as you said, as I pop down the bottom, employers are going to hire you for your skills and your mindset. It's not just your marks, especially in the Australian workforce. So
Yeah.
if you can develop those skills, clubs and societies are a great place to go. Nandini, if I can flick it over to you for a second. So you've got involved in the HR Society.
Yeah.
In terms of being involved in that society, what sort of skills do you think you've developed? So what are the sort of skills that if an employer was looking at this right now thinking, yeah, there's some space to hire a HR student or an intern or work placement student.
Yeah.
Nandini, tell me about what skills you have. What have you
So,
developed from your time there?
firstly, I would say when you're working in a group and when you are working as a leader, the first things come is that you inherited the leadership qualities that is really necessary to lead up a team. And secondly, you get into different people that you are working with, and so it enhances your communication skills.
Yeah,
And then the problems that you face, and those
yeah.
problem solving skills, and everything like that.
Nandini,
So
I
these are
agree.
the
I
main
agree.
skills.
Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt. I agree totally. Can you tell me about a time for you? So when you've been in the HR Society, what's a situation that you personally have been in? Like, what's a challenge you've had to overcome or a skill that you've had to develop?
Yeah, so here in the when I'm working as an event director, we face that most of the students in our group are not showing up. So
Hmm.
I this is the main challenge that we face because everybody is busy with something else. So we just have to motivate them. We just have to reach out them personally, not just in groups. And then we have to sort out things that we need to understand their situation as well, and we need to tell that what we want from them, and that is how we work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what did you do? So you've got students not coming to events. You obviously want students to come to online
Yeah, right.
events.
We
What?
need we need most engagement from RMIT students or students outside RMIT, and that is how we make the pool of students together, and we run the events. And we need a lot of students to make the event successful. And this year we have had two events, and the ones we have planned were not being able to conduct. We were not being able to conduct because of COVID-19. But the ones we conducted were really good, and we got a good number of students engaging in our events than the
Yep.
past ones. So yeah, that is how
Great.
it works.
And do you have more events planned for this semester?
Yeah, we did have a lot, like six more events, but we cannot conduct it anymore, and so we are trying to do it online.
Great, definitely. So
Yeah.
Anoop's jumping on Facebook Live saying hi there as well. Hi, Anoop. We've also got on LinkedIn, we've got Manish jumping in. Nigel, good morning, saying good morning to all. And Manish just said, can you please throw some light on how to convert internships into part-time or full-time work? So one of the things I think we'll talk about today is, Nandini, this is the opportunity. COVID hasn't stopped your events running. COVID hasn't.
Yeah, it hasn't.
It hasn't stopped it.
No,
Definitely it's a challenge, right? But we need to rise up and overcome that. I fundamentally believe we have a choice. You can do one of two things. You can rise to the level that life demands of you, or you can fall to the level that life will accept of you. And in this situation, if you go to the university or your students, you go, hey, COVID's happened, we had events, we had a venue, had to cancel them. Everyone will be like, we can accept that. But that's not what life demands of us. So here is this opportunity to say, even if it's now this morning, to go, we ran 2 events this semester in person. Let's run an event a week for the rest of semester online. And if no one comes, 3 people come, 10 people come, what we want to do in this call today is work with you and say, how can we run some really cool new events online? And Nandini, for you, how do you use those events as an opportunity, not only to serve, like Neha said earlier, but how can you be really smart about that and engage some alumni and some people who may also lead you into a job? So we'll talk about that in a moment. How do you use events to help network and help you lead into a job? But Neha, from someone who's taken a lot of volunteering work and then transitioned into part-time work, paid work, and potentially graduate work, how did you make that transition from one to another? Because I suppose it's easy once you start volunteering to keep volunteering, but how did you decide it was time to level up?
So the part-time was something that I did not expect, honestly. So I got the internship, and the internship happened not even overnight. It was in a couple of hours. So I was having breakfast in the morning, getting ready to go to another casual work. And someone from Deacon Talent calls me up, and she said, "Oh, you know what? Someone from Deloitte might call you for a job." And I said, "Okay, that's weird because
Amazing. I'll answer.
that's crazy." And so I was in the train, got a call, and they said, "Oh, it was around 10 a.m." And they said, "Can you come to office at 4 p.m.?" I said, I was scared because I'm not prepared. I don't have time to prepare. But I said, you know what? I trust my capabilities. I've learned so much in the past few months. So I'm just gonna go there, smash it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I'm going to give my 100%.
Yeah.
So I went there, gave my interview, and then I don't know, an hour later, I'm sort of getting a knowledge transfer on what my work is. And then my director said that's like the first time she's ever offered someone an internship on spot.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah. So I did not expect that. This was very, very Bollywoodish for me, which is like on spot, oh, you're hired, or you're fired, or something. That's like never happens. So after an hour, I'm like, oh, so you mean I'm hired, right? She's like, yeah. That's why I'm doing all of this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I was just checking. But then she told me the reason that she hired me was because I was ready to take on skills that I was not very familiar with, which is accounting. But so she said, no, you were resilient. You were ready to learn. You were ready to adapt to a new environment. And that is a skill that we're looking for. Someone who's capable of doing that. So I was being independent and learning accounting, which is totally new to me coming from an engineering background. But so I took help from my interns and then learned the job. And then in my spare time, what I did when I had some time was, hey, I'm done with my work. Do you need any help? Which is being proactive. Very important. So all of these things, I think my director, my supervisor analyzed, and then she said, you know what, I'm going to offer you a part-time job. We need this kind of employee working for us. So that's
Wow.
how it got converted from an internship to a part-time job.
I love it. I love it. Now, if you're listening in, if that's helpful, I'd love to know, Manish. Was that helpful? Did that help you in terms of some of the insights? We've also got Terry jumping in here, saying it's fantastic. Oh, we're potentially talking about co-hosting event in the future. Awesome. So Terry's the Chief Innovation Officer for Enactus. Enactus is an amazing organization working all over the world, 1,000+ universities, and is referring to both Neha and Nandini as future leaders. So if you need a vote of confidence, someone who's probably seen literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of young people in the future is looking at you both and seeing future leaders, current leaders even. I'd go as far as to say you're leading in your communities right now. Neha, you touched on something that was so brilliant around the idea of resilience. And Nandini, I think maybe this would be a nice thing to segue into for you. So you've got this volunteering role on campus with HR Society. How do you really leverage that to not only give the most, but also receive the most value for your time in that role? And resilience is something, the root word of resilience comes from two different words. It means to bounce back from failure. So it literally means to bounce back. So what's happened with these events for you, Nandini? You had these events scheduled, but now they've had to be cancelled. You've experienced that sort of micro failure, like as a society, right? You sort of said there are all these events planned, but now we can't do the plan.
Yeah, right.
So one of the skills that employers want, one of the things that they've explicitly said to Neha here is that we see that you're resilient. So what you've got here is actually, if everything went according to plan, you ran some great events, which is amazing, but maybe it's not as clear that there's resilience there. Whereas what you have now is a chance to really develop that and showcase it. Yeah. So Nandini, I want to kind of try something new with you right now. If you were to run an event this semester for the HR Society, RMIT HR, you've got how many students study HR at RMIT? Just out of interest.
It's like 200, 250 students.
200 or 250 students. Okay. And if you were to have a guess out of those, call it 225, we'll average it down the middle. If you were to have a guess out of that 225 students at RMIT studying HR, how many of them do you think are looking for a job right now?
Like an average of 40 to 50% students that I know are looking for a job.
Cool. So we'll take, call it 50%, cut it down the middle. So you've got 220, 250 students, whatever. Half of them are looking for a job. So there are 100+ students at RMIT, and maybe there's more, in HR looking for a job right now. So one of the ways, and this is a bit of a trick of the mind, one of the ways for you to get a job that I would recommend if I was in your situation is instead of you looking for a job, try to help other people get a job. Because you'll ultimately probably work for one employer, if you're working a full-time job. But those 100 people might work across 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 employers. So if this is an opportunity for you as a leader to go, well, if you represent this society, you could go out and what if your mission was to help 100 people get a job? And in the process, learn how to get yourself a job, but more importantly, you get to make contacts at all those different organizations. So you get to look at, okay, Nandini, if you were to guess, do you know, like at RMIT, who do you think the big employers are that employ HR students?
The big employer is one of our professor, Professor Allen, and he's the
Sorry, in terms of organization. So which
like.
company employs RMIT HR students?
Oh, I really don't know about it. Okay, you are talking about the organization that employ RMIT students. That is what you
Yeah.
are asking. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of students being like employed by L'Oreal, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and all the big fours. There are a lot of organizations on the top ends that are recruiting RMIT students, and also the ones
Cool.
which are like the medium-sized organizations. So RMIT students are being working in almost every area, and they are spread out in everywhere in the world. Yeah,
Amazing. So
yeah.
I want to show you a tool, and then we'll jump over to Neha to say maybe Neha could provide a bit of guidance too. If you're in a similar situation, Neha's the president of Student Society, so knows what this is like as well. So Nandini, I want to show you a tool very quickly. One of the things we can do with the technology here is share a screen. So I'm going to see if this will work for us. What I would love to share with you is: are you sharing? Are you seeing a LinkedIn screen popping up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So Nandini, one of the things you can do, and if you're listening out there, if you go to any university in the world, you can go to LinkedIn and type in your school into LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
for Nandini being at RMIT, it'll pop up down here, and you can click on this alumni tool down the bottom. Now, in the alumni tool, there are 232,000 students and alumni that are RMIT that are searchable in this online database totally for free. Almost no
Yeah.
students know this exists. So if you were looking for people studying HR and you're like, where could I work? Who could I talk to? Maybe how did I get a mentor, some advice, some guidance? If you were to go in this search bar and just type in HR, out of just people who've been to RMIT, worked there, studied there, there are 12,000 people. And if you were to
Yeah.
restrict that down to Melbourne, and people are online right now, so it's even broader, that 12,000 comes down to nearly 6,000. And if you click down on where they work, are you seeing this here, Nandini? Is that zoomed in
Yeah.
enough?
Yeah. I
If you click into where they work, it shows you a whole bunch of different organizations that they work for.
can. Yeah. Right.
So, say for example, I mean, this is just interesting because we've got Neha on the line and she's doing some work with Deloitte. But Deloitte's actually one of the big employers of RMIT students and alumni who study HR. So if you click on that employer, and you could have picked anyone from the list, here's where the rubber meets the road. If you scroll down, here are a list of different people who are working in HR or have HR somewhere in their profile who went to
Yeah.
RMIT and are working at this particular company.
Can
So if
can
you,
can I just speak about one point?
sure,
I just want to tell you that I am engaging myself and networking with all like the same way that you told me, with
amazing.
people in different HR position working for different organization. But the thing is that with the international students, I have come across many people who have asked me that what I'm doing, and the second thing they asked, do you have a PR? But I don't have a PR right now, and after, if I say that no, I am not on a PR, but I still have working rights here and I'm eligible to work, it's done. That a conversation ends over there. They do not want to reach out, so I don't know how to then uh,
Yeah,
continue with this conversation. So that is
yeah.
what I want to know.
Awesome. So, Neha, if you're in that situation, how did you manage, or when you talk to friends, different colleagues, people who are looking for work, how do you help them get past the idea? And we'll come back to this in a second. How do you help them get past the struggle of like, you need PR to get certain roles? And how do you help them narrow down the scope of finding roles that are open to international students?
So what I would suggest is there's so many startup spaces who are looking for students with the same skill set as them, and they're probably missing out on those opportunities because they're just thinking of multinational organizations, which is not wrong, which is totally fair. But with so many restrictions, how do you widen that? Which is
Yes.
also to look for other companies as well, other startup spaces and things like that. So that would be awesome if they could
Yeah.
do that. And there are, I think, like Startup Week and few other websites where they do post jobs, and they can have a look into that.
I think that's a really good insight. So one place there can be looking into the startup space, and that can be an easy way to do that. I would go to meetup.com, Eventbrite, Facebook, even in potentially Career Hub within your own university, and anything startup, entrepreneur, build a business, anything like that. I would go to all of those events, meet the companies that are there, and look for the ones that are growing. Look for the Startup Vic, Launch Victoria, the state kind of based entrepreneurship societies, entrepreneurship organizations. They host events, lots of free events. And when you'll see there, the startups that are actually booming, the sort of people right now who are on LinkedIn who are saying, we are hiring, like maybe they're ones that you can potentially look at. The big international organizations that everybody knows, those top employers, they might be actually a struggle if you're right, if they say we can't take people without PR, totally. But also because lots of people want to work for the brand name. Versus if you find an organization that is scaling to the point where now they have a team they could really do with some help, there might be the opportunity to get involved there.
Something I want to pitch in. I think a couple of weeks back, I just spoke to one of my friends, and then she got an internship at a startup space in the field that she's looking for. And then she told me, "Oh, but this is not a big brand yet." And then I told her, "You have two options: either to work in a company where they're going to value your skill set and you love what you're doing, or work for a company where you absolutely hate what you're doing. So you can choose what you want to do, whether your work is important or the brand is important." So that's all something people should look into as well.
Yeah. A third point there, I'd love to bring in the idea of non-profits and how to look at another whole sector, which is very rarely talked about, because I think that can be a real unlock here. But before we do, we actually have another international student who's just going to join us. We'll bring her into the stream, Yisu, who is absolutely amazing. Now, Yisu, I'm going to bring you up here. Hello, how are you this morning?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you.
Hi, Yisu. So awesome that you're joining us. Episode 6 of Coffee with Campus Consultancy. Today we're talking about how can international students find work. So we've had Nandini on the line, who's currently in the search right now, giving us a really real insight into what this is like. And if you're an employer out there, I really want to honor and just pay my respects here to Nandini and everything that she's jumping on this. She sent me a message like, "Hey, I'm looking for work. What are we thinking about?" And I'm like, "Do you want to come on a LinkedIn Live?" And she's like, "I guess." Like, what is that? So she's here in the job search, being really vulnerable, being really open, but also like, look at the confidence, look at how determined she is to help and serve and get this role. So I really want to respect Nandini there. Neha sharing her brilliance and her insights. And now we have the amazing Yisu jumping on. Yisu, do you want to tell the world a little bit about who you are? And can you also comment on maybe one thing that you think is a struggle for international students looking for work, or something that you found has helped you or your peers?
Hi everyone, I'm Isu and I'm currently studying at Monash, and I also work as a casual, as a student support officer at Monash. And for the past few years, I have also done 3 internships, but even though they are all free internships, but I genuinely found they are very helpful. And for me, I think,
you're a busy person getting calls at 8:30 in the morning. What's going on, Yisu?
Sorry, a moment.
Okay, so sometimes some unexpected things pop up in a live stream. This is totally fine. We're all figuring it out. As Yisu's coming back, we're going to run through a little bit long this morning. So if you're joining us, thank you for joining us. Episode 6, Coffee with Campus Consultancy, joined by the amazing Nandini and Neha. We've got our full names up here. So if you're on LinkedIn, you want to follow along, contribute, support in any way, also just support the journey of these amazing societies. If you feel like you can help Beta Alpha Psi, an amazing organization at Deakin University where Neha is, or you feel like you can contribute to the RMIT HR, is it Student Association or Society, Nandini?
It is Student Association.
Student Association, awesome. Feel free to reach out or comment. I've got some great questions and kind of comments coming through here. One's coming through from Simran saying, how can one get a job with no work experience in the past? And also from Manish talking about the challenges that people might enter in their first work environment when they first go and get casual work or paid work for the first time. So I think this topic of skills is coming up a little bit. Neha commented on the value of working for somewhere that develops your skills. And And what do you think in terms of key skills that if you were to develop one skill this year, one thing that you think would help your employability and maybe would help others in their employability? Neha, I'd like to throw it over to you quickly. What's a skill and how could international students be conscious of that skill, develop that skill? Where could they go to work on that skill? You mentioned resilience before. Is there anything else that you think would be worth really focusing in on?
I would say empathy and human skills, very important, because these are some of the skills that make you trustworthy. And that's very important as employees to build that sort of trust with your employers. So probably community work, that's somewhere you can sort of build that that skill. Volunteering, helping your fellow peer, all of these places are, I think, where you can build those skills.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from my experience, when I was a student, I had 10 volunteering roles while I was a student on campus. Like 10. Once again, for the people in the back, 10, right? Like 10. I'm a domestic student, like 10 roles. So it's like one of the struggles here is when people like, if you have one role, you have two roles, it's like, I get it, right? But it's hard. There's definitely some financial constraints, things that stop people volunteering 10 times. I get that. But over a couple of years, one of the things that helped me was I stopped saying yes to every volunteering role I could get. I wasn't just volunteering for everything sporadically. I was kind of at the start. And I started being much more intentional. I said, like, what are the things that I don't think I can get? What are the things I'm not qualified for? And I'm going to go and apply for that. And so one of the things for me was a student consulting group called 180 Degrees Consulting. And I applied for this with no consulting experience. I didn't know what consultancy was. And like, weirdly enough, 10 years later, I run campus consultancy. Like, it was literally this thing that I didn't know what it was. It scared me. And I was like, I think business skills is a skill set that, seems important. Maybe I should look at that. And by having that at the end, I was like, oh, I'm an engineer now with some vague business skills. And so out of thousands of engineers at my university, there was a much, much smaller percentage who had both. So just like Nandini now, who's in the HR Society, there aren't many students who are studying HR and leading a student society. There are even fewer who are studying HR in a society and run their own podcast or YouTube channel or post on LinkedIn every day or run a community meetup for HR students in Melbourne trying to find work or something that differentiates you from the group that can act as a magnet that you can draw employers to. Now we've got the wonderful Yisu back on the lines, fresh from a phone call. Yisu, is everything okay, first and foremost? No crisis?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine. So Yisu, you're joining the amazing Nandini and Neha this morning. As an international student yourself, what do you focus on when you think about looking for work?
When I looking for work, I think one of the big things I will be focused on is I will let others know I'm looking for a job, or I will ask them if they know any opportunities and let me know, or I wanted to get into a role maybe as a part-time or as a casual or an internship. Do they know how I can get there? So I will always talk to people about my goal and what I want to achieve. I think that's very helpful because if they have some opportunities, people will think, oh, maybe Isu is looking for this, maybe she is interested in this, or maybe they don't have any opportunities. That's fine. They might just think, oh, this, or maybe you should do this, and they might give me some valuable advice to help me achieve in that position. I think.
Yisu, I think that's super interesting. This idea of like, how do you lean on certain people? So if you don't have a network. So say if you're like, okay, this, I want people to keep me accountable. Like one of the things I always talk about is having 5 accountability friends. So that's on a monthly basis, 5 people you can check in with and say, hey, my goals are this. You 5 people keep me accountable, whether that's one-on-one, whether that's getting almost like a personal board of advisors around you. That only works if you know what you want. Someone sends you a message, you go, hey, can you help me get a job? I'm like, sure, what job do you want? I have no idea. It's like, well, it's hard, right? Whereas if you're like, hey, I really want a job in cybersecurity at EY, you're like, Do I know anyone there? No. Can I find someone to introduce you to? Maybe, as a real life example. So if Nandini, in your situation of looking for work, and obviously a big part of that is they would say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I think it's definitely both. It's what you know and who you know. Nandini, are there people around you in your network who you check in with regularly or could check in regularly as you go through this job search, just to support you, but also to kind of keep you accountable, encourage you, introduce you? Do you have any people like that in your network?
Yeah, I do have four people, and I keep on talking with them that what's going on and how currently I am working and how I'm trying to get a job or an internship, and how I have introduced myself to new people, had a word with a couple of them, and so I keep on telling my recent doings to everybody that I talk to, like on a regular basis. And yes, like you said, that they try to help me out with a lot of things, that they try to give me new ideas that how can I can really work on this and get an internship at the end of the day, and try to keep connecting with the different people who can help me out with that. So yeah, it really does work with that.
Awesome. Is it working?
Yeah, it does. um
How do you know it's working?
it's working. How I just was asking if I can give an example. So there is a friend of mine who is working at Amazon, and he told me that if you he's working as an intern, and he's he's doing his second internship, and told me that if you want to upgrade your skills, you need to take these online courses. And there that idea came from, that I should do the online courses, and just not I should not stick to what I am doing, like only the HR stream stuff, but I should look around and go out of my comfort zone and do something different. And that is how I did strategic consulting online course, which is not even near to what I'm doing, but it is far different from HR. But I tried it because I am really curious to know. I am someone who likes to be challenged, and I really like the new opportunities where I can learn from. So this is how it works.
Cool.
And there are the similar examples of some more people, but yeah, this is the one I want to share.
Cool. And that's a really good tip here, especially what we're asking here and what we're leaning on is, I think Yisu had a great piece of advice. Share with the world that you're looking. So Nandini, I want to see a post on LinkedIn from you this week saying currently looking for work and a list of sort of skills.
Sure.
I want to see that. So we want to tell the world and need to remind the world. People forget. Like, I don't post on LinkedIn every day for my good health. It's because like people forget. People have their own lives. So I want to remind people like, hey guys, still here running workshops. Like that's what we do. You know, you need to stay top of mind. So telling the world that you're looking, and also telling them that you're looking, but you're not the same. It's like, oh, you saw me post last week. Oh, well, last week I hadn't done a strategic consulting course. Now I have. And then the week after, I'll remember how I said I did that strategic consulting course. Well, I applied it to my HR society and I found these 3 areas for improvement. Here's my plan. A week later. Oh, so you know how I did the course and then I made a plan? Well, I listened to all your comments and here's how I'm acting on the plan. And a week later, you know how I did the course and made the plan and then acted on the plan? Well, here are the results. And you take people on a journey in public through going, okay, I need to do something. I've got this skill. I've made a plan. I've got feedback. I've taken some actions. Here's a result. And you put a nice bow on a perfect little star method for any sort of future interview, but you've also showed people in public and taken them on your learning journey. And I think this model in like traditional university of like sit in a room, study, get the professor to give you a score out of 100 is all well and good, very important. The higher score, great. The problem is it's very unlikely that professor is going to give you a job when he gives you your assignment back, when she gives you your assignment back, right? Whereas taking people in your LinkedIn community or your Facebook community or your podcast community or some sort of community, taking them on that journey helps people see that you're growing.
Yeah, that's really helpful insight, and I'll really try to work on this and put on the post, like you said, link between my post. And yes, you are really right that people need to see where you are, what you are doing, and they don't have to forget you that, okay, once there was a post about this girl, but now what? Who's she? So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Taking a community on the journey. Yisu's saying, remind them. Neha's saying, focusing on those especially from the broad resilience, some sort of key skills that you need to develop. Now it's 8:40, Coffee with Campus Consultancy episode 6. I've booked in Neha and Nandini for the first sort of part of today, but I also don't want to keep you on the line all day, knowing you've got lots of important things to get to. We'll open up for a little bit of a conversation at the end around different ways that international students can look for jobs. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you're an international student and you found work, what are the tips that have really helped you? If you're on this journey and you're looking for work, what are the questions that you might have? And if you're an employer in the university out there, you have any advice for international students, love you to jump on in the comments, share with us what's something that's either helped you or the students that you serve. Yisu, we'd love to let you get back to your day ahead, your week ahead. Any parting comments, or where can people find you, connect with you if they want to learn more about what you're up to right now?
Yeah, just connect me on my LinkedIn, and I'm very happy. And also, I will be having a little project coming soon on my LinkedIn. So I interviewed international graduate who already get a job, and we learn from their journey and what are the career advice they will give to current international student. I hope that might be helpful for some international student.
Amazing. Cool. Make sure we share that and promote that. When that goes up, send me a link to, and we'll push it out to everyone. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yisu. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome. The amazing Yisu. All right. So Neha and Nandini, now, Monday mornings is such a nice time sometimes in the week just to plan and think ahead. Bit of a conversation about certain skills that you might develop, activities you might go down, whether you're using technology to find people, meetups, groups to build networks, checking in with mentors, find like 5 frequent people that you can check in with in a month. Moving forward and looking at the shorter scope of this week, say if you're in Neha or Nandini, what does this week look like for you, and what are you hoping to achieve, develop? What's top of mind? Are you really focusing on like self-care and getting through this week with everything that's happening in the world right now? Are you deep in an online course, Nandini, to develop a new skill set?
So for me right now, this week is really very busy doing my assignments because I have due dates. So that is my first priority. Second is my health. And that is why I regularly work out. And that is what I'm going to do for the next, the coming week. And thirdly, I'm obviously going to connect more, talk more, and tell people about my journey as I have learned from you. So that's what I'm going to do this whole week.
Cool. I love that. What about you, Neha? What's your week look like?
So for me, I'm following your time management tip, which is put everything down in an Excel and then get things up and going. So this week, I'm focusing on my online classes, my assignments, my society work. We've got the amazing Josh for one of our upcoming events, and we are collaborating with few societies. So we're going to get that up and going in terms of marketing and advertising. Also, for self-care, I'm reading books. I'm reading comics actually, just because it's very light and nothing too deep. Listening to music and doing some impromptu dance, and that's all I'm doing this week.
I love it. I love it. That's cool, Neha, how you mentioned like the different societies coming together. One of the things I was thinking, Nandini, is knowing that there are lots of different HR societies out there. And I think maybe, as Neha said, like a bit of that empathy of going, okay, what's a problem we have? Our events, we can't run them as planned. Well, what's a problem that lots of other societies have too? Well, they probably can't run their events as planned.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there could be that opportunity to say, what could an event look like in, you've got your assignments this week, but maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time, what could an assignment look like? An event look like this? Like, give me another assignment. Great. Glad I jumped on this call. What could an event look like with just all the HR societies?
Yeah.
And even if it's the ones around Victoria, the ones around Australia, could it be a Zoom? Could you get a couple of professionals in? Whether it's finding some of those, you find the international students who, they're with companies who do hire international students, and you say, look, this is how do international students get a job in HR? Yeah. And it might mean, you DM 30 societies from different unis, like see if you can find them, see if they want to get involved.
Yeah.
DM all the recruiters and say, do you hire international students? And they're like, yeah, kind of, maybe, like, no. But if they're like, yes, we do, we're open to everyone, we accept everyone, it's like, maybe you could host the party. The metaphor I like to use is like host the party and bring people in, as well as go to other people's parties. So like you can go to the meetup, go to the Eventbrite, but I wonder if like that'd be a cool event to say, could you bring in a whole bunch of different HR groups and maybe even run a Zoom event with 50 or 100 people? Because I think
That's a
students are
really
in.
good idea. That's really good idea. I'm definitely going to look at this.
Well, Neha's running it, so I'm just stealing Neha's idea and like parodying it back. But so maybe even just checking in on like how are Neha and her teams promoting the Beta Alpha Psi event? What other universities are they in? Do they know any other HR societies? Because I think that could be a cool way for you to do something different. And then that's the thing that you take people on in public of the journey of you're reaching out, you're showing people, you're organizing an event. How the heck does Zoom work?
Yeah. I just want to
Interesting.
pitch in. Just want to echo what Josh said this long time ago. If you don't ask, the answer is no. So what I did was I spoke to them over the phone, but then there was not much because it was just like a brief conversation. So they didn't say anything much during the call. So I dropped everyone an email, probably like 10 societies an email. Why are we doing this? Why do we want to collaborate? What is this event about? What value is it going to provide to our members? And how can that help in this current situation that we're in? And after that, I got a response. So when you explain why, the value, and ask them personally, the response rate is like much higher. That's something that I have learned in these few months.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one of those points of when I was asking Nandini before, when I was like, is it working? And then how do you know? Those two questions have been life-changing for me. Like to be able to like, someone like, do you do this? I'm like, yeah, I do that. I'm like, is it working? You're like, yes. How do you know it's working? Like, oh, is it getting the results I want? It's like, oh, I don't know. So I think like what Neha just shared, that's such a good example of like, I was doing this thing. Is it working? Actually, like maybe not yet. So like reaching out, trying a different sort of strategy, which is interesting. All right, cool. That's interesting. So thank you everyone for tuning in, commenting below. I have a whole bunch of comments on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Really appreciate you tuning into episode 6 of Coffee with Campus Consultancy, how to get a job as an international student. Nandini and Neha, I want you to, before we leave, if you're open to it, I want you to think back to day one as an international student in Australia. And somehow I think it's easy to say, like, always looking for that next peak to climb. Like, Nandini, if someone's to look at your LinkedIn, Neha, if someone's to look at your resume, like, oh my gosh, look at what they've done. Look at all these things they've achieved. So if you were to look back to day one, you arriving in a foreign country, or day one, you even just starting university in general, what do you think something that younger you would look at current you and see that's different? What would you see that's different? And what would a piece of advice be to anyone who's starting off fresh, starting off their journey, starting at home base? What's different, and what would a piece of advice be?
So for me, it's the confidence, the level of confidence that I have got after being alone here completely in a new country and having no connections. So that is the one thing that I got when I was a new person, and now that is the change. And I would advise the students who are new here not to give up on anything. Just try your best and believe in yourself. That's what I would say to the person who is new in Australia. And believe me, if you ask for help, there are a lot of people who are ready to help you out. So it's just about your confidence and your belief in yourself. That is what I would say.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love the idea of just trying your best too. Sometimes I feel like that could be a really good motto for just right now. If you're struggling with something, whether it's health, relationships, career, jobs, academics, if you're trying your best, if you can put the head on the pillow at night and go, you know what, today I really gave it my all. Like, I think that's a pretty amazing place to
That
be.
is a self-satisfaction that you can give to yourself by trying. Even if you fail, that doesn't matter. But you tried, that's something that is very important.
I love that. Beautiful. Thanks, Nandini. Neha, what about yourself? Day one Neha, looking at current day Neha, what's different? What would you say to them?
I think I had a lot of self-doubt when I started off, a lot of it, but because I was constantly fighting with myself, the inner voice in me were like, no, you can achieve great things, but my head is like, no, I don't think I can do that. But then I think I met you within the first month of uni and starting off. Yeah. So you played such a major role in building that self-confidence and helping me reduce that self-doubt of mine, because that's very important. Surrounding yourself with people who will uplift you, not someone who will put you down, make you doubt yourself more. Someone who will say, no, you can go there and smash it. I think that's all you need to hear to go and actually smash it. So now when I look back, I'll be, if in case I fail, I've learned how to accept failure. I've learned how to accept rejection, which was not the case before. I would say, oh, I think there's something wrong with me. That's why I'm failing or I'm getting rejected. But no, I'm doing my 100%. Was there anything else I could do? No. Did it work out? No. But that's fine. I'm going to move on. So that is something that I've learned in these past few years that I've been here. I think a year and a half now. So that's been an amazing transformation for me. Much needed.
I think that's amazing. Neha, you're incredible. I love your journey. I love everything that you share. I would tune in and watch Coffee with Neha every day and just listen to like the things that you're doing. I'm pumped to be with you in the societies this week too. Beta Alpha Psi, that's going to be really, really fun. If you are tuning in right now, if you run a student society and you're thinking about, okay, our events have kind of gone, like what are we going to do? Adapting to the online world, even if it's watch party, it's a coffee and cake online, it's Friday wines, it's getting a bunch of societies together, showing that you've innovated in this time. We keep saying it, that one of the number one things recruiters are going to ask is, what did you do during this time? So if it's, we ran an innovative event like BAP with Neha or Nandini, it's, I did an online course, I applied it, I got on this weird LinkedIn Live thing on the Facebook Live, sharing things with the world. The more that you can lean into this idea of this is a time when there's space, and some of that space might be filled up with just the reality of this is hard and getting through it. But if there's any space left to go, this is an opportunity for growth. This is an opportunity to improve. And this is an opportunity just to do my best and trust that good things will happen. I think that's a great place to direct. Nandini, on the comments in there, you've had a couple of people jump in and say, yeah, message me. So some contacts in HR, hopefully that'll steer you in the right direction, give you someone else. Neha, you've been amazing as always. Thank you both for coming on episode 6, Coffee with Campus Consultancy this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we are joined by the amazing Thanu. Thanu is absolutely brilliant. Tomorrow morning, we are going to be talking about managing the balance between gratitude and growth. So sort of leaning on from today, if you want to be your best self, how do you push yourself, but also be really appreciative for what you have? How do you take care of yourself and also strive to be your best every day? So we're going to be talking about that, going into that in a little bit more depth. Obviously, some overlap with the jobs. But today, if you're looking for a job as an international student, please keep going. We need you. We appreciate you. We love you. We're glad that you are here. You are welcome. As a domestic student. And as you've seen, there are international students who are finding homes here, who are thriving, who've been told no a bunch of times, but have also come out the other side of it. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. If you need help, if you need support, lean into the support services offered by your university, lean into the support services offered by the community of international and domestic students. And if there's anything I or anyone else can do to help out, please just reach out. As Neha said, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So thank you for joining us today. It's been amazing. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. with Coffee with Campus Consultancy episode 7. And just a huge thanks today to Neha and Nandini. I really appreciate you both.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
You're both amazing. All right. We'll speak with you soon. All the best, friends. Have an amazing week. Bye.